Continue now. In today's session, we will start with the descriptive statistics. This is the fundamental building blocks of the statistics. Okay, so as part of this, you will be understanding what is statistics all about, and what exactly descriptive statistics, and what all the branches are there as part of the descriptive statistics. As part of descriptive statistics, we will cover the measures of central tendency, and also we have something else called measures of spread. And also we will see how we can interpret the patterns that are there in the data. Okay, how to interpret the underlying pattern of the variables or the data using the visuals like scatter plot and box plot, right? These are all very specific to statistics. Okay, and histograms, right? All these things we will take a look at it if possible in today's session. First of all, what is statistics? What is statistics? Let's start with understanding what is statistics. Hey, before that, I want to make sure that hope you are able to hear me clearly, and my screen is visible to you all, right? In case of any issues, please type it in the chat window, and feel free to stop me if you have any doubts, okay, or any doubts, or if you have any issues, right? Also, you can alternatively anything related to logistics, you can WhatsApp me. Okay, now let us try to understand what is statistics. Statistics is a science, right? It's a science of collecting, analyzing, presenting, and interpreting the data in simple term, right? So it's a science, right? It's a science. It involves some amount of it involves mathematics, and also, right, as part of statistics, majority of the time we collect the data, and then we process the data, and then we analyze the data, and we present and interpret the numerical facts of the data. Alright, so that is what we do it as part of statistics. And also, as part of statistics, we make prediction. What do you mean by prediction? Yeah, recording is going on. By the way, thanks for reminding me. Okay. So as part of statistics, we can make a prediction using probability, right? What is the probability that it will rain tomorrow? What is the probability that I will get a promotion in this appraisal cycle, right? So we can use probability theory to make a prediction, and also we can use the statistical models like linear regression, logistic regression. With these models, we can make a prediction or forecasting. Okay, there are two branches are there in statistics. One is descriptive statistics, other one is inferential statistics. As part of descriptive statistics, we have in descriptive statistics also we have two branches. One is the measures of central tendency and measures of spread. Okay, in today's session, we will look at descriptive statistics. Inferential statistics, once we complete this one, we'll cover inferential statistics. Before we proceed with understanding what exactly descriptive statistics, let us try to understand certain basics or the terms that are used in statistics. Okay, these are the four different types of variables. See what happened. The statisticians in the past, they classified the data, or the data into four different types. Okay, from the statistical point of view. Okay, so they have classified the variables or data, or they classified the data using variables, right? Four different types of variables. One is nominal type of variable, other one is ordinal type of variable, the other one is interval and ratio. What is a nominal type of variable? So any idea? Anybody has any idea what is ordinal type of variable? See, these two are qualitative in nature, right? Qualitative, it is also called as a categorical variable or qualitative variable. qualitative or categorical variable. So these two are called quantitative variable. Quantitative variable. Okay. So these are called categorical, and these two falls under the quantitative variable type. Okay. So what exactly nominal type of variable? So okay, now nominal type of variable and ordinal type of variable, these two falls under categorical variable or qualitative variable. So since these two are categorical variable, then why there is a discrimination between these two? Okay, I'll give you an example for nominal type of variable. For example, we have a column in our data set like 6. This column have either a male or female, right? It can have either male or female. Okay, and also we have some other example like colors. Let's say you are let's say I'm a car dealer. I sell different brands of cars, and each brand of the cars have different colors. Okay, so in this case, sex column can have either male or female. Colors can be more than 2 categories. See, sex is a categorical variable, and colors is also categorical. We can say that way also. Instead of saying nominal type of variable, we can say this as a categorical variable because it has classes in it. Sex has 2 classes, male or female, or 2 categories, right? And colors depends on the brand. So a specific brand can have 4 or 5 colors. So these are called categories. Categorical variable, fine. Okay, so in the case of sex or color, right, instead of giving, let's forget about colors at this moment. Instead of saying male, I say 1 is male and 0 is female. So this is what the numbers used conventionally by statistician for representing the sex, okay, the gender. So 1 is male and 0 is female. Okay, so what is a big deal? Let's say I have a table called orders table. Okay, let's say you made a purchase from Amazon. At the back office, right, behind the scene in the Amazon office, they generate some reports. Every week they wanted to know how many number of which all items, right, on daily sales report they are generating it. Every week they are consolidating it. In that report, let's say you don't have a column called sex, but the management wants to know how many number of orders raised by male or female. Is there any way you can give a breakdown gender wise to understand the orders details, right? So if you don't have sex column, how can you group your data, or how can you classify your transactions as male related transaction, female? So you need to have a categorical variable. So the categorical variable is helpful in terms of classifying your data also. Okay, you have a male and female in your data set. Now gender column is there, right? With that you can say yes. So this many number of orders purchased by so and so customer. This many number of orders. Let's say you have 1 is male. In the data set you have let's say you have something like 100,000 records are there. Okay, 100,000 records are there. In the 100,000 orders raised, let's say a big customer like Amazon, right? 100,000 orders they raised it in the last 4 days. Let's assume that way. So out of the 100,000 records, if you look at the sex column, how many number of records will be there? Total number of records were 10,000. In the sex column, if you find out the unique value, right? So I just rephrase my question. In the sex column, if I ask you how many number of distinct values are there, you will say 2, right? Irrespective of the number of records, if I ask you how many number of distinct or unique values are there in 6, your answer will be 2. Am I correct? Right? It's 2 only. right? So the the cardinality is very less here. So what do you mean by cardinal? Number of distinct values in general in the case of categorical variable compared to the total number of it will be less. Okay, the next question is okay, if I apply the average, we have an aggregation function like average. What are the aggregation functions are? Average, minimum, maximum, and what else? Count, right? So total number of customers. If I want to find out total number of customers 10,000. Out of this 10,000, how many number of male customers? You can do count, right? If you do count, it will give you the number of male customers and number of female customers who ordered the items. But can you do average on the sex column? You have something 1, 0. See the first order number, right? So let's say the order number 100 and purchased by 1. That means male. Order number 2 purchased by 0, right? 0. So 2 females, 3 females. 1, 1, 1, 1. So this order was purchased by male, right? This order was purchased. This order was purchased by male. So these 3 orders were raised by females. But if I ask you how many number of males, right? You can do count. You can find out the frequency, right? What do you mean by frequency? The number of occurrences. The number of occurrences are 3. 3 males purchased or 3 males raised an order and 3 females raised an order. But if I ask you to find out the average of the sex column, does it make sense? It does not make sense, right? What do you mean by average? Average is nothing. Yeah, in statistics, we use the term mean, MEAN. You must have studied during school time or probably your MBA, right? So if you are an MBA student, you would have heard about this term. Mean is nothing but average. Mean is nothing but average. In statistics, we use the term mean to represent average. But if I take the mean or average on this, it does not make any sense. So this is a nominal type of variable. In the case of nominal type of variable, you cannot use the mean measure, right? This is a measure. We can say measure. Mean is a measure, right? We cannot use the mean measure. Okay, can I use minimum, maximum? Here, it doesn't make any sense, right? If you find out the minimum, maximum, and also if you take the average, also it doesn't matter. So you cannot apply any arithmetic operation on the nominal type of categorical variable, but you can find out the frequencies and proportions, how many number of occurrences, right? So okay, compared to male, how many number of females they purchased diapers, right? So you can find out the proportions, you can find out the frequencies. Okay, next we will see ordinal type of variable. In the case of ordinal type of variable, so this is also categorical variable only. The difference is, in the case of ordinal type, I will give you one example. For example, you have something called the rating, appraisal rating, right? So in my company, let's say in the case of TCS, 5 lakh employees are there, 5 lakhs employees are there. Just now we finished the appraisal process. Some employees are falling in the top bucket, 1. Some employees are falling in the third bucket. That means they are meeting the expectation. These guys are outstanding. These guys are meeting expectation. These guys are good. Their performance is good, but these people are outstanding. Okay, and we have something else called 4. 4 means needs improvement. So 5 lakh employees, when you look at the Excel sheet about the rating, right? It will be some employees they would have got 1, some employees got 2, 1, 3. Can I apply average here? Even if you apply the average, it does not make any sense, right? On the appraisal rating column, I'm talking about the appraisal rating column. You cannot, if you find out average, it does not make any sense at all. But you can use frequencies. You can find out how many number of employees were falling in the first bucket, third bucket, second bucket, and fourth bucket. We can say that way. So even in the case of ordinal, we can apply frequencies and proportions, but we cannot take average. But if you take the average, right, does it make any sense? It does not make any sense. Even in the case of 6, right, 1 0 0 0 is there. So let's say 10 people are there, so 5 divided by 10, how many number of males are there? What is the average males are there? Can you say average males are there? Right? Can you say average of males? That does not, average of 6. That does not make any sense. Right? Similarly, average of rating. What are you going to do? You cannot do anything. Okay, so here also we can use the measure like a count or frequency in proportions only. You cannot use mean and other things, right? It does not make any sense even if you use it. But what exactly the difference between nominal and ordinal? The difference is, in the case of ordinal type of variable like rating, the values that are there in these variables are inherently has some order in it. The rating 1 is superior than rating 2. Rating 2 is superior than rating 3. And rating 3 is superior than rating 4. Ranking, right? So you have some kind of ranking is there in this variable. But in the case of 6, just because I have encoded the male transactions as 1 in the gender column 1, right? And female as 0, that does not mean 1 is superior than 0. We cannot say, or 0 is superior than 1. We cannot say, right? There is no ranking comes into picture in this type of variable. The type of variable wherein the ranking is not matter, that is called your nominal type of variable. Whereas in the case of in the case of the variable, right, that has ranking in it, that is called your ordinal type of variables. Hope you understood the distinction between these two types of variables. Very easy to remember. Next one is interval and ratio. These two falls under quantitative variable. So the interval is also called as I have some problem with my stylus pen. I will just get it fixed in a day or two. Okay. So till then I will just write it in this notepad. Okay. In the case of interval, see the interval type of variable, right? It is also called as a discrete variable. Remember this. This is very much important. If you want to become a statistician or if you want to become a data scientist, right, you should be knowing these terms. Discrete variable. Discrete variable. In simple term, intervals are whole numbers. Interval type of variables are whole numbers. For example, number of children born in the ward, okay, in the ward, okay, in the delivery ward, okay. Now in the hospital, a staff nurse, when she enters inside this ward, right, the delivery ward, and if she asks the junior nurse, hey, how many number of kids born since morning, they say either 4 or 8 or 10. All these values are whole numbers. We cannot say 4.2 kids were born, 8.5 kids were born. Can we say like this, Gyan? You will not be saying, right? So these are the examples for the interval. Sorry, this is not internal, interval type of variable. Okay. So in simple term, we call this a discrete variable. The discrete variables are nothing but the whole numbers. Other example, defect, number of defects. Let's say you are part of the manufacturing unit and you are a quality inspector. You are inspecting the finished goods. When you inspecting the finished goods, you found some defects, right? You say it is a 4, number of defects were 4 in this good. Let's say your company manufacture mixies, right? Mixies, right? So the mixies, Prestige mixies in India, right? So mixie is something like that. So in that case, we say we found 3 defects in this mixie. right? So and then we have 6. You say either 4, 3, 6, some whole number only. You never say 4.22 defects I found it, 3.22 defects I found it. These are the examples for discrete variable. Discrete variable is nothing but the whole number. Please remember this. And next we have ratio type of variable. Ratio type of variable. It is called as continuous variable. Right, so the classic example is price, sale price. Price cannot be a whole number. Unit price cannot be whole number. Unit price, sale price, and what is salary? Salary cannot be whole number, right? So after deducting the loss of pay, everything, you cannot expect them as a whole number. So discrete variable, continuous variable. The continuous variable, as the name suggests, it will have decimal values in it. It's kind of a, the decimal number. You just think that way. Continuous variable is a decimal number. And which one? The discrete variable is a whole number. This is a whole number. That is the decimal number. Okay, so so hope you understood what these types of variables are, right? So now you understood the distinction among these 4 variables, right? So one is nominal and ordinal, interval and ratio. In the case of nominal type of variable, there are no orders or ranking is there. And also you can use only frequency and proportions. You cannot apply any other arithmetic like average, finding or a mean. Right, so mean and median, it does not make any sense. Similarly here, but the difference is here, ranking is there. Supposing you wanted to make some investment on mutual fund, right? So with the mutual fund also, right, you do some kind of analysis. Which all mutual funds are high risk? Which all mutual fund involves medium risk and low risk? You do some kind of ranking. And then you will decide, okay, these medium funds are, the risk is very less. But these mutual funds, if I invested, the risk is medium, but the returns are, good. Okay, but the high risk, right? So when it comes to risk, right, high risk is the very risky one. There is a ranking. High risk is very danger compared to medium risk, right? Medium risk is risky compared to low risk, right? So in that case, right, the ranking comes into picture. Hope you understood this one. And now let us work on this simple example. Gender is a variable, right? So gender is a variable. What type of variable is this? It's a variable, but what type of variable is that? And what is the level of measurement? Is this a nominal type of variable, or that's what I discussed. Gender is nothing but a nominal type of variable. Okay, and what about age? Type it in the chat window. I want to make this is a very interactive session. What is the what is this variable? What is the level of measurement? We also call, instead of saying variable, different types of variable, we also use this term level of measurement. Okay, so age, it's a whole number, right? In practice, we say, how old are you? We say, I am just 36 year old, I am 32 year old, or I am 39 year old. We never say I am 39.333 or 39.3 months and 2 days old. We never say that, right? So it's a whole number. So hence it is a discrete thing. It is a discrete variable. It is a discrete variable. Okay, and hours spent last week. How many hours you are billable? We say, the decimal, right? It cannot be a whole number all the time, right? We spent 8 hours or 8.3 hours. So it's a ratio type. It's a continuous variable, right? The second one, continuous. It's a continuous variable. is a continuous variable. And whatever performance rating 1, 2, 3, 4, this is nothing but the ordinal type of variable. Ordinal type of variable, as the name is odd, right? So ordinal, odd, it involves some kind of orders. It inherently it has some order in it. That's the reason we call this an ordinal type of variable. Nominal type of variable, it doesn't have any order in it, okay? But using this nominal type of variable, we can classify the data set, whether it is a north region. Another example, region. We have a column called region. North region, south region, west region, and east region. Let's say you operate business in India. To ease your operation, you logically divided our country in 4 different regions for the purpose of understanding the performance of different part of India, right? You divided the India into 4 different region in your business, okay? North region, south region, west region, east region. These are the 4 types of regions. This is also another example for nominal type of variable. But here, which region is superior, which region is inferior, we cannot say, right? All these regions are equal, but maybe the size is differing. I'm not talking in terms of size and all. Simply if I say region, right, we cannot say this is bigger and that is bigger, right? There is no superiority comes into picture. Hence it is called categorical variable. Now let us jump into understanding the descriptive statistics. As part of descriptive statistics, in simple term, what we do is we summarize the given data. Why do you have to summarize the given data? To get the gist of the data, to understand or to get a quick insight about the data, we use descriptive statistics. So in order to get the gist or summary of the data, we use numerical measures, or we use numerical and graphical methods to identify patterns in data, right? And also these numerical the measures, right? Measures like mean, median, mode, or LFL in terms of summarizing the data. Once you summarize the data, you will be able to understand quickly about the data at a high level. So as part of descriptive statistics, we have a branch called measures of central tendency. As part of measures of central tendency, we are interested in understanding the central location of the data. Let us look at this example. Let's say for 6 different employees, salary we have mentioned it here. If I take the average salary of these employees alone, excluding this guy, my salary is, the average salary is 48,000. But if I include this guy's salary also as part of this, and if I take the average, I get something like this. We know what is mean, right? Add all the values divided by total number of samples. 1, 2, see, add this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, divided by how many number of values are 6, right? Total number of data points. That is what average. But in this case, we have added only these 5 data points. We excluded this one. When you exclude this one, your average comes like this. But when you include this one also in your data set, your average is more. Supposing your friend is working with some good company. Let's say he is working with Infosys. He is asking you a favor, like if I take up an interview with your company, let's say he is a data analyst and he has a 3-year experience, and he is asking you, hey, if I clear the interview with your company, what is the average salary I can expect? I am a 3-year experience guy. Will you tell him this one or will you tell him this one? Which one you will tell it? Can you all please type it in the chat window? Which one you will tell him? Which one you will tell it? See, there is no right or wrong answer. You can go ahead and type it in the chat window, okay? Dollar. Okay. Bali, sir, can you please start recording? Okay. No, dollar, right? So, yeah. Okay. Forget about this also in dollar. Okay. Don't worry about dollar, right? So this also when you take the average, right? Your dollar $48,000, and but after including this value also here, when you take the average, it will also be dollar only. Yes, he typed it like the second one, right? Will you say this one? No, right? But your answer is this. No, it's not correct. Just because one person is getting very high salary. See, all these guys are just 3 year experience guys. All these guys are just 3 years experienced. Okay. But this guy is an exceptional guy. He is getting more salary compared to others. He is an exception. Listen very carefully. This guy is an exceptional guy compared to others. Okay. For the others, if you compare the values, more or less all these 5 values are somewhat closer when it comes to the distance. 48,000, if you round it up 49,000, somewhat closer, though there is a difference here, but if you compare this one with this one, this is far better. It is closer to this. Similarly, if you compare this one with this one, it is all these 5 values are somewhat closer compared to this value. Hence, this is called outlier. This is called outlier. OUTLIER, outlier. This is called outlier. This is called outlier. OUT, outlier. What do you mean by outlier? Unusually very high value. Sometimes you will have unusually very less value also. Okay, any unusual value, right? So, alright, exceptionally very high, exceptionally very low value. Okay, exceptionally very high and exceptionally very low value is also called as outlier. In this data set, we have an outlier. Just because this guy is getting very high salary, right? If you include, right, you cannot tell your friend, hey, you will get, if you get a job in our company, on an average you will get 123,098, right? So 123k you will get it. You cannot say like that. Just because one person is getting very high salary, can you expect every employee with 3 years experience can get the same average salary? No, right? So this data is skewed. This is called skewed data. SK. So I will just type it here. This data set is called a skewed data. This data set is skewed data. So why? I'm feeling sleepy. Sorry guys. Okay. This data set is skewed data set. Why? Because it has outliers in it. It has outliers. For example, 1,000 and 500,000, right? You cannot compare this one with this one, right? So this one you cannot compare. You cannot compare because the distance is too high. So one way out is you can go back and check with your application owner and saying that, hey, all the all the values or all these salaries are valid or are not valid, because I could see only one value is very high compared to other values in this category, 3 years experience data analyst category, or for this job category, I could see only one person's salary is very high. Is this a correct data or not? If he says no, you need to strike off the last zero. Mistakenly you put additional zero, then you don't have an outlier. If he says, on the contrary, if he says, no, this is correct data, 500,000, because this guy, though he has 3 year experience, he came from IIT or NIT, and also in the past he worked with Google, and there he was getting very high salary. To match his last employer's salary, we have given them. We went extra mile and got approval to give this much of salary to this guy. There are two possibilities. One is incorrect data. The other possibility is no, it is not incorrect. It is true only. It is correct value only. If it is a correct value, then you need to include this one also in your average. But when you include this value also, the outlier also in your data set, and if you find out the average, you will get this much. This data set is already skewed. Why? It has outlier in it. In the case of skewed data, when you take the average also skewed. The average also skewed. So hence you are not supposed to use average. If your data is skewed, don't use average or mean, right? So mean. I'm going to use this term mean henceforth. Mean is nothing but the average. Okay. So instead, I would say 48,000. But still, there is a debate. The people are saying, no, how come you can ignore this? And after ignoring this, only you are getting this one. You will not agree that. But just because one person is getting very high salary, right? And if you include him also with the other data, and if you take the average also skewed. Hence, please do not use average if your data set is skewed. Okay, then how will I deal with this situation? We have another measure called median. Okay, what is median? The middle value. Median is nothing but the middle value. During school time, you would have studied. Let's say this is the data set given to you. If you have to find out the middle value, the rule is first you need to sort the data in ascending order. 10, but 11 is here, right? 11 is supposed to be here. Let's say 10, 11 and the rest of the values, or let's say this is kind of let's I make it 71. Let's 71. This is 71. Okay, forget about this. So 71. Okay, so this data is sorted in ascending order. Okay, let's think that way. Okay, so here finding out the middle value is very simple, right? So in this case, how many data points are there? 4 plus 4, 8 plus 1, 9. The sample n is nothing but number of data points or sample, right? In this, how many values are there? 9 values are there in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 values are there. Hence we call this a sample size, right? Number of. Is this a even value or odd number? Is it an odd number or even number? It's an odd number, right? In the case of odd number, finding out the middle value is very easier. For example, you just cancel the first item and last number, and cancel this one and this one, and cancel this one and this one, cancel this one and this one. The middle one is 32, obviously. Supposing your number of samples as the 10, here you have 10 here, right? 10. Yeah. What is it? Sorry, I did not get you. Can you, or else your voice is breaking. Probably you can sign out and sign in back, or else type it in the chat window. So what was your question? Okay, you just type it in the chat window. Okay, so let us look at this data set. Here we have the sample size is 10, right? 10 data points are there. 10, 20, 22, 24, 10. In this case, also you need to sort the data in ascending order, and then, right, cancel out the first and last, and this one, right? And what you do is, you will get these two values in the middle. You cannot cancel these two. So rather, you need to add these two values, and you need to divide it by 2. 64 divided by 2, which is nothing but 32. Hope you studied during school time, right? The median is nothing but the middle value. In the case of my sample sizes and in terms of odd, Finding out the middle value is easier. In the case of even, if the sample size is in terms of even number, you need to take the two middle values and add them together and divide it by 2. Got it? Okay, now let us go back here, the average thing, right? So here, these are the amounts spent by my customer. 10 different customers we randomly sampled, we randomly sampled, and we have put those customers' amount spent in this table. What is the average of this one? Add all the values, right? Number of observations. How many number of observations? Observations is also we use in statistics. If somebody says observation, that is nothing but records, number of records. Okay, total number of records are 10, or total number of samples. My sample size is 10. If you add all this in 2750 divided by 10, 275. I don't have to teach you average, the formula for average. You know average. That is nothing but mean. So there is a formula for mean. Hope you all agree with me. This one plus this one plus this one, add all the values divided by total number of samples. Is nothing but 10. You will get something. This is how we compute the mean. Mean has some problem. From formula, right? We use formula to find out the mean. Now a small quiz here. All salaries in the distribution affect the mean. All salaries in the distribution affect the mean. Mean can be described with a formula. Yes, true. Many samples. Okay, I'll come back to this little later. Mean of a sample can be used to make inferences. This is not correct. Mean of a sample. What do you mean by sample? For example, you are in your college. Let's say you are a college student. Okay, in your college, 5,000 students are there. That is your population. The entire college students are called population. But if you take just 5 students from mathematics department, that is your sample. With this sample 5, can we say all the employees, all the students' average age is 18? Can we say like that? We cannot make inferences just with my sample mean. So hence the answer is false here. The next one is all salaries in the distribution affect the mean. That's what we have seen, right? All salaries in the distribution affect the mean. Yes, it affects the mean, right? If you have each and every salary, we need to add it and then divided by total number of observations or sample number, right? So in that case, all the values, right? So this one, right? This one affects the mean because of the outlier. This is true. And what about many samples from the same population will have similar means? This is a bit tricky. Many samples from the same population will have similar means. I will just, let's say this is my population. Look at here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my population. Many samples, let's say I am drawing a sample S1. I call my sample as S1. Here I have 1, 2. Let's say 1, 2. And I take another sample which is S2. The S2 in this sample probably you will have 2, 3. 2, 3. Let's say you have 2, 3. So you are drawing these two things. So what is the mean value of this sample? 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. How about this one? 2 plus 3 is 5. 2 plus 5 divided by 2 is 5 divided by 2 is how much? 2.5, right? What is the question now? Now read it. Many samples. See, sample 1, sample 2. Many samples from the population will have similar means. Are they same? No, right? 1.5. The mean of this sample is different from this sample. But there are probably, right, if you take 2 plus 1, 3 or 1, 2, or if you take 2, 1, Even in this case also we'll get 2.5 only. We cannot say, right, here they mentioned many samples. If you take many samples, many of the samples mean value are not same. So hence it is false. It is not true. Got it? Any questions? Now let us compare what is the difference between mean and median. See, this is, you forget about this one. Okay, look at this one, right? When I take only these 5 records, my average is 47,000. But when I include this one, what happened? When I include this one, the mean value is 1,23,000. Instead of using mean, I am going to use median. Median is nothing but the middle value. What is the rule here? You need to sort this data in ascending order. First 38,000 will come, 38,150, and the second one is, the second least value is 41. I just write, this one, 38, 41 and 48. Yeah, 53. And the 500,000, right? 53. So obviously the middle one is 48. 48,670, right? 48,670. When you sort this one fall in the middle. So 48,670 is no. So without including this one, the median is 48,000. But after including this one outlier also in your data set, the median is 50,915. Right? So if you sort this one in ascending order, obviously the middle value is, you need to take the two middle values and then you need to add them together, divided by 2. But in that case, what, even if you sort it, right, this is, since this is being a very high value, this will fall at the bottom. The lowest value will go up. But this one will come in the middle, right? This one will come in the middle, and what else? And you have 48 and then the 53. 48 plus 53 divided by 2, 50,915. But now, if you look at this carefully, when I use mean on the non-skewed data, that means in this data set we don't have outlier. If you don't have outlier, if you exclude that one, you are getting this one. But by excluding this value, if you take, instead of mean, if you take the median, you get 48,670. Okay, similarly here, but here we have included this one, the biggest number, also into this one. When I compare the mean also skewed because of outlier. But when you look at the median, it is not skewed. Even though you have an outlier, the median, you remember I told you here, right? So strike out the first and last letter. In this case, what will happen? The 500,000 will fall at the fag end, right? The 500k, right? That is the one will fall under. So in that case, what the first value and last value, you need to strike it out, gone, right? So median is not sensitive to outlier. Note it down. Median is not sensitive to outlier, or in other words, even though you have outlier, it is not going to do anything, right? It cannot do anything it cannot play around with median. We just say that word, okay? Let's say I have mean. Mean is sensitive to outlier. Why it is sensitive to outlier? Because the average also skewed. If you have outlier in your data set, the average of, if you take the average, the average will also skew. Since mean is sensitive to outlier, median is not sensitive to outlier. Are you able to understand or not? Very simple one. But in school time, we would not have studied about outlier, skewed data and all. Skewed data set is nothing but outlier. The data set where you have outlier, right? We call it a skewed data set. So what is the answer here? Can someone find out the median in this data set and tell me what is the outlier? Yes, Raja, the answer is 4. Exactly in between 48,670 and 53,160. Okay, I will just show you here, okay, why it is. See, how do you find out the middle value? First, you need to sort the data in ascending order. What is the least value here? 38,150. And next least value is 41,290. And what is the next least value? 48,670. And the next one is 53,160. And the last one is 500. No, I missed out one thing. 412, 8, 6, and 57320. I missed out that one. 57320, and here 500,000. After sorting it in descending order, I am getting, if you cancel out the first and last one in the case of median, so this one will go away, even the outlier will go away. 41,000 and 57,000, if you cancel it out, you are left with two middle values. You need to add these two things and divided by 2. That is what I discussed, right? So the answer is exactly between 48,000 to 53,000. It cannot be anywhere in between, right? The median value is not falling anywhere in between these two. Exactly in between these two values. Okay. Next mode, most frequently occurring value. That's all. It's as simple as that. In school time we studied about the mode, right? So in the school time, for example, I'll just show you here 1, 2, 7, 8, 10, 2. What is the mode here? The most frequently occurring value. What is the most frequent value? 2. This is what is called your mode. Most frequently value is called mode. Most frequently occurring value is called mode. So in this case, the mode is 2. It is called unimodal. Okay, now the question is, can I have more than one mode? Yes, you can have more than one mode also. For example, here you have 7 is there. So in this case, what is the mode? 2, 7. So this is called bimodal. Since we have two modes, two most frequently occurring value in your data set, we call it bimodal. Supposing if I have 3 modes, see here I say 1, okay, and what is the mode here? So 1, 2, 7, 1 to 7. This is your mode. These are the most frequently occurring value, right? More than one time occurring value is called your frequency. Sorry, the most frequently occurring values. We have 3 mode here, trimodal. We call this a trimodal. If you have more than 3, we call this a multimodal. You have multiple modes are there in your data set. Okay, now let us, why don't we give it a try? Using a mode, we can describe if a data is either categorical or numerical. Can we describe a variable as categorical? So we can use mode to find out the most occurring value in your, or most popular value in your given data set. With this itself, we cannot do any categorize, or whether a variable is categorical, numerical, you cannot tell. Next one is the expanding the below data set affect the mode. Yes, 32, 32 and 32, right? So it is true here, and there is an equation for the mode, false. There is no formula for mode. Simply find out the middle value, that's all. the mode remains same for more than one samples drawn from the same population. This is also false, right? As I told you, look here, watch very carefully. Please pay all your attention here. This is my population data 1, 2, 3, 4. This I am going to draw a sample. My sample as 1, 2 here. I am going to sample this population data with replacement. I can also write, so I can use 2, 3 with replacement. Right? You cannot say I already used 2 here. Can I use 2 in the second sample? Yes, you can use it, provided that in statistics there is a term called sampling with replacement. You can replace the same value here also. But if you look at the samples, right, each sample's mode, can we see the mode remains same for more than one samples? No, right? Mode cannot remain same for more than one sample. Hence it is false. First of all, here we don't have any mode. Here we don't have any mode. Okay. And can a mode change if the bin size in a histogram changes? Yes, it is true. This one I will explain you when I cover about the visualization part. That is very important. That is the one helps the data scientist a lot in terms of understanding the pattern of the data. Now to summarize, what is the difference between all these measures? Forget about geometric, because this is not a central location of the data. As part of measures of tendency, we have seen it. What is mean, median, mode? Mean is nothing but the average. But when the data is heavily skewed, you cannot use mean. Why? If you use a mean measure on a skewed data set, your average will also skew. The only way out is median. You can use median. Median is robot. When data is highly skewed, you can use median, the middle value, or mean of the two middle values after sorting the data. So most popular value you understood, and median, mean also you understood, right? Any questions so far? It's a very simple one. Am I correct? But you are all tired, right? So because weekend, you want to sleep, you are feeling tired now. Understood? So what you do is just watch my today's video. Since today being the first session, right? A couple of guys were not able to join. What we will do is from the upcoming weekend onwards, we will have at least for the next 2 weeks, we will have 1.5 hour. Saturday 1.5 hour, Sunday 1.5, 7 to 8:30 we will have it. And slowly, because if I cover too much also initially, right, at the beginning itself I spend 2 hours, you will feel bored. So we will spend 1.5 hour at least for the next 2 weeks, and then we will step up the duration. Gradually we will increase the timing, 7 to 9, right? We will have it like that. Okay. Okay, since you don't have any questions, what I will do is I will share this today's session's recorded video, and in the upcoming weekend we will look at the visualization part. We will try to understand what exactly writes to the data. What is
yeah. So this is Bahari.
Yeah.
So you just calculated the median and mode for the very few numbers. So if it is a huge numbers, is there any formula, or we have to count one by one?
No, the formula remains same only, right? Whether the volume of the data is very high, less, still the formula remains same.
Okay. N plus 1 divided by 2 or n by 2?
For which one? Mean, right?
Mean.
Yeah, mean, you need to add all, n, all the values, each element, each value, right? Each data, you need to add it together and then divide that by the total number of data points.
Okay.
Right? Median is nothing but the middle value. Only rule is you need to sort the data in ascending order. and just eyeball it, the middle value. Okay, if the volume of the data is very high, we don't have to worry, we have built-in functions are available that automatically gives us the median, right? It automatically checks the middle value and it gives us. Even in the case of mean, formula is function, built-in function, we can get it, okay? But the idea what you need to remember, the concept, the idea what you need to understand is, if the data is heavily skewed, that means if the data has outliers in it, do not use mean, use median, because median is robust. In the case of median, we are sorting the data in ascending order, right? Obviously the minimum will be at the extreme left, the maximum will be at the extreme right. The idea is cancel out the first and last, and again the second one and the second last one you need to cancel it out to find the middle value. That's all. So hence median is not resistant to outlier. What is outlier? Outlier is nothing but exceptionally very high value, or unusually very high value, or unusually very less value. That is called your outlier. Outlier, okay. So can I delete the outlier? If the outlier value is not a valid one, or if it is due to data type, right, you can exclude it. But if it is not due to data entry issue, or if it is a valid outlier, then you cannot remove it. If you use average measure, your average value will also get skewed. Got it? So hence use median.
Yeah, that means you are saying in a number system which is the last number, that is the outlier.
At this moment, you just think that way. Roughly speaking, yes. But there is a formula for outlier. Okay. We'll discuss this in the next week session. Okay.
Yes, sir.
There is a formula for the finding out the outlier. Okay. We cannot simply say the minimum value and maximum value. These two are outliers. Okay, that's a very good question. There is a formula to find out the outliers. Okay, that I will discuss it in next week session. Okay, don't worry, because we have something else called the percentiles and quartiles. When I discuss about that, I will discuss that one, so that there will be a proper sequence. You will be able to follow in a proper sequence.
Sir, one more question. In your first slide, you described about the quantitative and the qualitative with the variables, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So qualitative, it means that it will just symbolize for the quality, and quantity for the quantity number, how much quantity.
What is quantitative measure, right? If you measure anything based on a quantitative variable, we call that as a quantitative variable, right? Discrete. So for example, the number of kids in a school, number of kids in a class, male kids in a class or female kids in a class. In a class room, let's say you have 10 males and 10 females, 20 females are there. But here you can apply mean, median and standard deviation. You can apply these arithmetic measures on the interval. Right. So let's say if somebody is asking you what is the average mark scored by your students in a class. Let's say you have 20 students, right? 20 students. Each students the average. What is the average mathematics mark in your class? Student 1, student 2, like 20 students. Each student's mark you will write it and add everything divided by 20. That is the average mathematics marks in your class. The average mathematics or average female mathematics mark and average male mathematics mark. If somebody asks, what you will do? 10 males, 10 each individual males mark, you will write it, the mathematics mark, and you will find out the average. Similarly, 10 female girls or 10 girls, 10 each girls mathematics mark, you will write it and you will find out the average, and then you will say this is the average marks scored by male, this is the average marks scored by female. So in that case, right, the marks are your kind of interval. Mark is the whole number, right? So we cannot say we got 50.222 mark, right? So we say 48 mark. Let's say the total mark is 50. 23 out of 50, 24 out of 50, but they use something like, they use 29 and half, right? Something also is there. But let's just think that way, right? So the interval is a whole number. You can find out the average, right? The average number of marks scored by student, average salary, department wise average salary, right? We want to find out the average salary. Salary is, again, it's a ratio, right? That is the continuous value. Salary is not a whole number. So in that case also you can find out the average. You can apply the average on his salary. You can apply the average number of defects. You can say average number of defects, right? Average number of defects, you can say, you can find out defects is a whole number, right? So in the first floor, yesterday, what is the weekly average defects? So in the first 7 days, right, you know each day, right, in a week, each day you note down how many number of defects came out. You add all the way, find out. So this is the average defects we got in this week, and last week average defect this,
Yeah, understood. Any product kind of thing, if you will go in a product, there is a quantity or quality. So where is the quantity? We have to find out in that average, medians, mode, all these.
You just think this way: categorical variable and quantitative.
Yeah.
In the case of categorical variable, you cannot use the arithmetic operations or aggregation like mean, median, or even standard deviation. You cannot use. We will explain standard deviation next week. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
See, any variable which you can perform arithmetic operation, we call it a quantitative variable. So qualitative variable, you cannot perform. You can perform, you can find out only the frequencies, right? You cannot perform any arithmetic operation, right? That is what called as a nominal type of variable. Ordinal, nominal, it's all categorical variable. Any other questions? Fine. Since you don't have any questions, we'll share the recorded video. Okay. And how about Raja and others? You are not at all talking. Okay, let it be there. If you have any questions, you can send it to me, or we will discuss it in the upcoming weekend. All right. Okay. Have a nice weekend. We will circle back next weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The meeting invite will remain same, but I'll send you the agenda. Okay, fine. Yeah, by Thursday, every Thursday by noon, I'll send it. All right. Yeah.
So before closing, one more question from my side. Is there any tools need to required to install in laptop or something else? Just so you said that some of the software need to be loaded in laptop.
Yeah, the Anaconda Python and R software you need to download and install it. See, this recorded video and all I will share it, okay, through the link. And software Python, don't install Python. Instead of installing Python, you can use Anaconda distribution to install Python. Most of them they use it that one. Yeah.
Jupyter Python is there. Jupyter.
Anaconda Python. Okay. And also R, you can go to Google and download the R software. Download, or if you type it right in the Google, you will whichever the latest version of the R, you can download it and install it. The installation is very simple. Okay, just all you need to just click the exe file, the downloaded software's exe file, and if you click it, it will get installed. Anyhow, I will help you out. Okay, if you have any issues, all right, I will send you some installation video also. Okay, we have some videos recorded in our website. We'll share that link also, right? You can install.
We'll go for the R or we'll go for the Python?
First, we'll start with Python because that is very hot in the market, and Python, or we will see it after completion of the Python.
Okay, right.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up the session now. Since you don't have any more questions, we'll share the meeting invite sometimes in the midnight. Okay, night time. Okay, later sometime. Yeah. Okay. Bye bye. Take care.